Do you mind starting it?
For some reason, I cannot find turn on my camera.
Okay. No, no worries. No worries. Let's go with the Pathshala. Okay. नमो अरिहंताणम नमो सिद्धाणम नमो आयरियाणम नमो उवज्झायाणम नमो लोए सवसाहुणम ऐसो पंचनमो यारो सव पावपणाशणो मंगलाणम च सव्वेसिम पढ़मम हवै मंगलम। जय जिनेन बच्चों। I hope you are having a good weekend. It's about to come to an end. We are going to start a new week tomorrow with the best of our energies, right? As we do that, I think we'll have a last opportunity to do a introspection and some reflection just before we sleep, right? So I think for most of you, you are in East Coast, so you'll be probably this is the last activity you do today on this Sunday, right? I think it's a good way to end the a Sunday, right? We do that by doing some swadhyay. What is the word? Swadhyay. Swadhyay means self-study. And Jainism is one of those religions that put extreme weightage on the practice of swadhyay. It's part of the shat avashak, the six essentials for Jains, right? Doing some reflection, some introspection, some reading of our literature, of our canons as we find time. Mostly, we should be doing it every day in various formats. You need not to do it in a format which is like sitting at one place and doing it. Now that we live in a very different world with digital mediums all around us, I think you can find various avenues to do swadhyaya, like what we are doing today, right? We are meeting here on a virtual classroom, and we are going through the topic of Chahdhala. That is a part of our स्वाध्याय. So अगर आपसे कोई पूछता है ना कि आप किस पे स्वाध्याय कर रहे हो, तो क्या होगा आंसर? सार्थक, what are you doing स्वाध्याय upon? हैं? Sarthak, go ahead.
Uh, I don't know.
Exactly, you don't know, right? I just told you and you don't know. That means you are not, your attention is somewhere else. You are doing स्वाध्याय on छह ढाला. किस पे स्वाध्याय कर रहे हो आप?
Chahdhala.
छह ढाला पे, है ना? आप रोज पढ़ते हो. आप एटलीस्ट संडे को यू स्पेंड एटलीस्ट 1 hour, right? To understand the various dhals, stanzas of छह ढाला. That is a स्वाध्याय, है ना? छह ढाला is our important text. और अगर हम उस पर टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं एंड सेल्फ स्टडी करते हैं, दैट इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट स्वाध्याय इज, है ना? तो कई बार लोगों को ऐसा लगता है, अरे मैं तो स्वाध्याय करता ही नहीं हूँ. कैसे नहीं करते हो? आई नो एटलीस्ट 3 kids who do स्वाध्याय every week. Arohi, Udayan, and Sarthak. They come to this Pathshala and then they do Swadhyay on Chahdhala. That's what they are reading today. Today they are reading Chahdhala. Maybe in the next Pathshala classes they may focus on Samaysar or Ratnakaran Shravakachar and so many granth that we have available. Right? This is just a start. Okay. That said, now let me share with you the text of Chahdhala and we will take it from there. Okay, so I'm going to share with you. Let me know when the screen is up for you. Can you see the screen, Arohi?
Yeah, I
Share
can
screen.
see the screen.
Perfect, perfect, Beta. Thank you for confirming that. So last week we kind of did an introduction of the Chahdhala, and we talked about who wrote Chahdhala. Chahdhala is a text. It's a very revered text. It's a poem. It's a grand poem which is written in the 19th century by a great poet by name Pandit Daulat Ramji, a uh, a a Shravak, a revered Shravak for us, who did the upkar by translating the grand knowledge of Jains from various different languages, Prakrit, Sanskrit, into a format which was the known Hindi at that point in time, for faster memorization and and contemplation for the people, commoners who didn't have the formal education in either Sanskrit or any of the other old scripture languages, right? So that is Upkar. Now, why we call this text Chahdhala? Because this particular poem contains 6 chapters, aka ढाल. अच्छा, अब ढाल के बारे में ना मैं थोड़ा सा पढ़ रहा था इन प्रिपरेशन फॉर दिस लेक्चर. सो एक मीनिंग ढाल का तो होता है शील्ड, राइट, द वे इट इज डिस्क्राइब्ड इन दिस presentation, right? The each chapter represents one dhal, aka one protective shield against the most powerful enemies of us on our path to salvation. And what are those enemies? The enemies are wrong belief, wrong knowledge, and wrong conduct, right? जैसे अपने 3 ज्वेल होते हैं ना, सम्यक दर्शन, सम्यक ज्ञान, सम्यक चारित्र. आप ऐसा मानो इनका ऑपोजिट. इफ somebody is not, he doesn't have faith in samyak darshan, then basically what they are following is wrong belief or mithya belief. Mithyatva bola jata hai isko. So samyakatva, mithyatva, right? Mithyatva means opposite or negative or wrong, right? So like we say samyak darshan, similarly you can say mithya darshan, mithya gyan, and mithya charitra. Mithya is a word means wrong, as a word means wrong, है ना? So basically, these three are the biggest enemies, like the most powerful enemy of us, of a soul, on its path to attain ultimate bliss and freeing itself, herself of sorrows and suffering. Right now, so एक meaning तो हो गया 6 ढाल, यानी 6 protective shields. The other more literary meaning of ढाल is um, it's a meter. Like many of you must be learning about music, right? And in music we follow something called as a meter, right? A way of speaking or reciting a part of the poetry, right? So each of these dhals, aka chapters, follow a different meter or chal or tempo, or for saying them, for the poetry. And that is why it is called as Chhe Dhala, because there are 6 different ways. Each chapter has its own way of reciting it, which we'll cover in a bit here, right? So इसलिए भी इसको छह ढाला बोला जाता है. ठीक है ना? तो यहाँ ढाल के 2 मीनिंग है. एक तो ये कि ढाल मीन्स प्रोटेक्टिव शील्ड, which is the more deeper meaning, more deeper meaning. And then the other one is where we are saying that dhal means chal or the meter at which we recite it, है ना? So हर chapter में जो stanzas हैं, they have a different meter to follow. Okay, that said, now let me talk about the first dhal. तो आज हम इसके 3 we'll attempt to complete the first 3 stanzas of dhal 1. अच्छा, remember, dhal 1 is all focused upon sufferings. So the way the poet introduced this concept of Jainism or Jain knowledge is they first started with a very a position which was set in on the sufferings, right? So we start with, okay, establishing of the fact that there is suffering all around us, irrespective of in which life form a particular jeev is born, as a human being, as a narki being, as a tiryanch, that is an animal, or for that matter, even as a dev. If you are born with a life form, the 4 gatis, in all the life form, there is some suffering, right? And we all are always motivated. The biggest motivation for a person, a life form, is to free herself, himself of suffering, of sorrows. है ना? तो पहला जो ढाल है, it is focused on that. Now, let's start with the first dhal. Now, always the Jain scriptures, any scripture that you will read, and if it is written on in a particular meter or in a poetic style, which is most of Jain Shastra are, they always start with what we call as a Mangalacharan. है ना? Mangalacharan is a dedication of the author to someone or a concept before they start writing that particular text. It is a dedication. Now, it is an expression of humility, right? It is very important for us. If you are on a path of learning on path of swadhyay, on path of introspection, the most important thing is having the feeling of humility. Humility defines a good student. If a person does not have humility, then there is no way they can achieve. They don't have the power to receive knowledge. Right now, one uh, example that I always give is on this one is the concept of how water flows. Water flows from higher altitude to lower altitude, right? Without any energy, if it has to flow naturally, it you need a gradient for it. Same way for heat, same way for any liquid, for any fluid for that way. It always flow from higher gradient to lower gradient. And unless you are at the lower gradient, you cannot receive knowledge. इसीलिए जब हमारे इंडियन कल्चर में when they show teachers, gurus and students, they always make the guru sit on a higher pedestal, right? The idea is the same. It's a reflection of the concept that fluid knowledge is fluid, and all fluids flow from higher gradient to lower gradient. So this Mangla Charan is an expression of humility. Right now, we'll recite this quickly, and this is how it goes. तीन भुवन में सार वीतराग विज्ञानता शिव स्वरूप शिवकार नमहु त्रियोग संहारिके. Now this is where what the poet is saying is that in these three multiverses, in the three parts of this Lokakash, and I'll cover what these three parts are. The highest or most important thing is Vitrag Vigyan, right? Vitrag Vigyanta, aka the science uh, of attaining moksha, or in other words, the science of freeing oneself from rag and dvesh, right, or from the 18 types of faults, is the highest thing. Right now, interestingly, the poet didn't dedicate this Mangalacharan to any Bhagwan, none of the Panch Parmeshtis, no Acharya, nobody. Rather, Pandit Daulant Ramji put immense focus on our objective as a Jain layman or a monk, and that is the science of Vitrag Vigyanta. Right? That is the most precious thing in this threefold multiverse. I'm not consciously using the word universe, because each layer of this Lokakash is a universe on its own, right? So rather preferentially, I always prefer using the word multiverse. And why did we say teen bhuvan, right? Any person or any one of you is aware why are we talking about the three bhuvans in this stranger? कोई बता सकता है मुझे कि तीन भुवन या three multiverses, or in the language of the template of the PPT it says three universes. Why did we talked about threefold universe? Why three? What is the significance of three here? कोई बता सकता है? उदयन, आप बताओगे? Okay. Arohi has raised hand. Why don't you go ahead, Arohi? Please बताइए.
So I think what the Teen Bhuvan means is like, there's like Earth, or where we live as humans and animals, and then there's Devgati where devs live, and then there's Naragati where and so I think that's what they're talking about in like Devgati, Earth.
Slight correction. Your answer is spot on. I think I got the gist of your answer. You are in the right track. Just I'll do a slight correction, है ना? So बात ये हो रही है कि there are three as per Jain first principle applied as per the Jain text, as per the Jain scriptures, the Lokakash, the portion of the multiverse where life is possible, where Jeeves can sustain, where Jeeves live, that portion of the multiverse is called as first Lokakash. And this Lokakash has three parts. It can be categorized into three parts. Three, right? The first part is द ऊर्ध लोक, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, ऊर्ध्व लोक, और द अपर मल्टाइवर्स, ओके, द अपर पार्ट और अपर लोक, है ना। फिर आता है मध्य लोक और सबसे नीचे आता है अधोलोक। अब आपने जो रेफरेंस देव और नारकी का दिया वो ऐसा है कि देखो, गति इज एसोसिएटेड विद द बीइंग्स, है ना। तो लाइक वी ऑल आर बॉर्न विथ ए मनुष्य गति, वी आर बॉर्न एज ह्यूमंस, राइट, ह्यूमंस ऑफ ए पर्टिकुलर टाइप। ऐसे ही बहुत सारे जीव होते हैं जो कि बॉर्न होते हैं देवगति में, है ना। अच्छा, जो देवगति में जीव बॉर्न होते हैं उनमें मेजॉरिटी ऑफ जो देव होते हैं वो कहाँ रहते हैं, तो दे आर लोकेटेड इन the upper part of the multiverse. There are 16 devloks and they live in those 16 देवलोक, इसलिए हम उनको देवलोक भी बोल देते हैं। ऊर्ध्वलोक जो होता है ना, उसका एक और रेफरेंशियल नेम होता है देवलोक, है ना। इसलिए गति जब भी वर्ड आता है आरोही, इट इज यूज्ड फॉर द लाइफ फॉर्म्स, ठीक है ना। पर अगर जब ये आता है कि अच्छा ये देवगति के लोग कहाँ रहते हैं, तो हम बोलेंगे कि मेजॉरिटी ऑफ देवलोक के, देवगति के जो लोग होते हैं, देवगति के लाइफ फॉर्म के जो लोग, पर्सन, मतलब जीव होते हैं, वो सब ऊर्ध्वलोक एक देवलोक में रहते हैं। मेक सेंस आरोही। इसी तरह से मध्यलोक, द लोक वेयर our earth is located, that part of multiverse is called as मध्यलोक। and the human beings, एक मनुष्य गति के जीव और तिर्यंच गति के जीव, वो कहां पर रहते हैं, तो वो रहते हैं मध्यलोक में, ठीक है। मध्यलोक का भी एक पर्टिकुलर पार्ट होता है जिसको हम ढाई द्वीप बोलते हैं, विल रीड अबाउट इट लेटर, जस्ट फॉर योर रेफरेंस। उसमें मनुष्य रहते हैं, ठीक है, ओके। अच्छा, और जो अधोलोक होता है, द नेफर्नल लैंड्स, देर आर 7 नरक होते हैं। इन 7 नरकों में 7 हेल्स और 7 नेफर्नल multiverses में there lives narki jeeves in a certain type of devs who manage the affairs of those अधोलोक्स। वो कहाँ रहते हैं, वो लोग सब अधोलोक में रहते हैं। तो अगर आपसे बोलता है देव गति के जीव जा कहाँ रहते हैं, तो आप बोलोगे देखो सबसे ज्यादा देवगति के जीव तो देवलोक में होते हैं। कुछ होते हैं जो कि मध्यलोक में भी हो जाते हैं और अधोलोक में भी हो जाते हैं, ठीक है। मनुष्य गति के जीव कहाँ होते हैं, तो वो हमेशा मध्यलोक में ही होते हैं। दे कैन नॉट सर्वाइव बियॉन्ड द मध्यलोक्स, ओके। इसी तरह से जो तिर्यंच होते हैं, सब ह्यूमंस और एनिमल्स एक है, दे सर्वाइव इन द मध्यलोक्स, ओके। एंड देन अधोलोक में कौन रहता है, तो मेजोरिटी नारकी जीव जो होते हैं, who are going through a lot of sufferings, they live in narkilok, and also a certain type of devs, only a few type of devs, है ना। ठीक है, अब मेजर कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है, मेजर कॉन्सेप्ट यह है कि across this lokakash, right, which is made up of the 3 parts, 3 type of multiverses, the urdulok, the madhyalok, and the adholok. Through this lokakash, the thing that is of highest importance is the vitarag vigyanta, okay. Vitarag vigyanta is the highest thing, and basically the if I do a verbatim translation of it, what we are saying is state of complete equanimity and omniscience, okay, which is nothing but vitarag vigyanta, okay. Vitrag Vigyanta is the most important thing within the whole threefold multiverse. It is moksha in itself and the measure to attain moksha. That's why the poet is paying their obeisance to this concept of Vitrag Vigyanta with full concentration of their बॉडी, माइंड एंड स्पीच। सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज, राइट। तो यहां उन्होंने ऐसे नहीं बोला कि मैं भगवान महावीर को आई बाउ डाउन टू भगवान महावीर। दे आर नीदर सेइंग आई बाउ डाउन टू भगवान आदिनाथ, नॉर आर दे सेइंग आई बाउ डाउन टू ऑल सिद्ध और अरिहंत और आचार्य और उपाध्याय और साधु। रादर दे आर पुटिंग एम्फेसिस ऑन the concept itself that is going to make us humans into a siddh, right. This is something, this knowledge is something that will help us in attaining moksha, है ना? तो ये बहुत बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है कि जैनिज्म में बहुत सारे टेक्स्ट लिखे हैं, किसी में आदिनाथ भगवान को डेडिकेशन है, किसी में पंच परमेष्टि को डेडिकेशन है। यहाँ पर पंडित दौलत राम जी हैज पुट द फोकस ऑन द knowledge itself, the omniscient infinite knowledge, and the knowledge that is going to free us of all the rag and dvesh, all type of kashayas, all type of bad feelings, right? Now, if once we are free of all these, devoid of all these rag and dvesh, then only we can elevate our soul to attain a state of mind, a state of reflection that is as good as moksha. समझ आई बात? Okay, give me. Okay, so now that's what, right? Now, in this text, one other thing, Vitragda को बताते हुए ना 18 type of flaws को बताया है, right? So you can read these flaws, right? These are all flaws that define our life. Irrespective of whether we are born in human form or we are born in a subhuman form or as a dev or a narki jeev, we are always subjected to these 18 type of flaws or faults, right? Right from birth to attachment to surprise to thirst to hunger and what not, right? ये सब क्या है? इनकी वजह से हमारी लाइफ एक तरह से डिफाइन होती है, इन्हीं की वजह से हमारे सारे राग द्वेष होते हैं, right? So once this knowledge is what is going to free us of all the suffering. Once we are elevate ourselves out of these 18 type of flaws or faults, that is nothing but moksha. And what is going to do help us in doing that? The science of uh, vitaragta, or the science of the knowledge, the kevalya gyan, or the omniscience, that is going to elevate us out of this state, right? That's why it is being compared to moksha itself, and also is being referred to as a shivkar, means measures to attain moksha. ठीक है? So ये, all in all, this is the gist of the first stanza, right, of Chahdhala, okay, which is Manglacharan. Okay, now there is a conversation here, so I would like Sarthak you to act as the acted as the the boy here, and maybe Udayan you can act as the real me, the jeev here. Okay, can you do the recitation, Sarthak? You can recite this particular dialogue, and I'm expecting Udayan to recite this dialogue on the other side. Go ahead, Sarthak.
Yeah.
Can you recite it loudly? Is it audible?
Which one am I?
This guy, the boy.
Okay. Wow, Jajanendra Dev is indeed very great. Wow, Jajanendra Dev is indeed very great. Friend, tell me one thing, whether Jajanendra Dev is one on
Jinendra Dev is
Janendra Dev, sorry, is only omniscience, or he is also capable of providing us with solutions to our problems.
okay. So now he's asking a question: is Jinendra Dev just omniscience, or he is capable also to provide solutions to our problems? Now, what's the answer, Udayan? Can you recite
Yes,
this?
you are right. Janendra Dev is indeed great and worthy and worth worshipping. He is not only omniscient, but is also the one who always speaks for the welfare of all of us. Just the way we engage in unconditional volunteering for a noble cause, similarly, Janendra Dev and Muni Maharaj provide solutions to our problems through their discourses. They provide us with a way to permanently finish off our sorrows.
Okay, good job. So that's what this is all about, right? Now we'll talk about, we are done with the Manglacharan. Now we do the first stanza of the first dhal. Okay, now how does it go? जे त्रिभुवन में जीव अनंत सुख चाहे दुख ते भयवंत ताते दुख हारी सुखकार, कहे सीख गुरु करुणाधार. So what does this stranger says? This is a stranger, the first stranger, right? So first one was Manglacharan. Sometime we say that is the first stranger. Sometime we say this is the first stranger, right? So after Manglacharan, this is probably the first stranger. Let's stick to that. Okay. Now this first stranger is focused upon desire of living beings. We all are living beings, and living beings are born with different life form, right from Devgati to Naragati, Manushagati included. You know what are our desires, right? What is ultimately our desire? If we do a 7 why analysis of our desire, it will come down to the fact that we all want to free ourselves of all these sufferings, right? It will come down to that. We want to make our life comfortable because we think we are into some state which may where we may not have be we may be suffering in some shape or form, and then we want to come out of it, right? So that's exactly what the purpose is right now. So this is basically the gist of this stranger. Now what does it say? In all three parts of universes, the soul, right, the soul is going through an infinite cycle of life and birth. And as it is going through the infinite cycle of life and birth, it is desirous of happiness. In other words, it is desirous of freeing oneself from the suffering. And this soul is basically it's fearful of these things. Therefore, what the guru is doing, what guru has done for us to destroy the suffering and to attain the spiritual bliss, aka happiness, gurus, our spiritual preceptor, our acharya bhagwan, have, out of the immense feeling of compassion towards us human beings, they are preaching us the science of Kevalya Gyan, Vitrag Vigyanta, right? They are a conduit for us to receive that knowledge, uh, that power to solve our own issues, right? And attain uh, freedom from sufferings, thus the ultimate infinite bliss or infinite happiness, right? So that's what this stranger talks about. In all the three part of universe which we just covered, there are infinite living beings. How many jeeves are there? Anant, right? There are infinite living beings, and all of them are desirous to have happiness and are fearful of sufferings, right? Therefore, our Acharya Bhagwan, our spiritual perceptors, being kind to us with the feeling of compassion towards us, are preaching us the lessons that will help us to destroy the sufferings and attain spiritual bliss. So, one important thing here, which should not get lost in the words, they are not taking us out of the suffering. They are just providing us the knowledge that will help us in raising ourselves out of out of this suffering and attain happiness. Very important thing, right? They are just preaching, they are just providing us the knowledge. Ultimately, it is going to be our effort, our choices that is going to take us out of the sufferings and attain the ultimate bliss. अच्छा, ब्लिस जो होती है ना, हैप्पीनेस, वो दो तरह की होती है. एक होता है जिसको बोलते हैं इंद्रिय सुख और इंद्रिय हैप्पीनेस, एंड बियॉन्ड दैट इज अतीन्द्रिय. इंद्रिय सुख क्या होता है? A happiness that is associated with our senses, right? Either it is associated with the sense of touch or to the sense of taste, like when we eat, ah ha ha, kitna acha khana, oh, this is so sweet, I love sweets, wow, this is so spicy, I like my food spicy, right? Or it is related to fragrance, wow, it is smells so good. Or it is related to to sight, wow, what a beautiful place, right? I mean, I visited India the last time, and it was amazing in monsoon. It's green all around, and it's so beautiful. I visited Switzerland, amazing place, lofty mountains and Alps and whatnot, right? What is it all about? It's all Indriya Sukh. It's just my sight, right? And I'm just talking about that. And then there is, the pleasures of sensory pleasures, music, voices, melody, right? We always crave for such things, but important thing is they are ephemeral. They are not just ephemeral, they also depend on a perspective, right? कभी एक म्यूजिक बज रहा होगा, आपको बहुत अच्छा लगेगा. Wow, I am I'm enjoying this song. This is my favorite song. And the very next moment, once you are done with that song, what would it will sound like cacophony. Arey yaar, I have to focus on my studies and this music is interrupting. Let me go and stop it. Right? So it is not just ephemeral. Sometimes the same things can lead to anxiety, akulta, right? And ultimately they result into sorrow. So while we think indriya sukh is important, like everything around us which is objectified, right? It gives us not an atindriya sukh. They are all source of indriya sukh, right? On the contrary, Atindriya Sukh is all eternal and lasting. It leads to calmness. It leads to true happiness. That is what Atindriya happiness is. And the happiness that comes from within, or the happiness that our soul enjoys the most naturally, is not Indriya Sukh. It is rather Atindriya Sukh. What is the word? Atindriya. सबको याद रहेगा वर्ड सार्थक, है ना? Atindriya Sukh. So our focus on this path is not Indriya Sukh. You will not attain Indriya Sukh by from the teachings of of Dev Shastra Guru. Rather, you will attain Atindriya Sukh with this knowledge. Okay, this body of knowledge. Okay. So next set of conversation. आप बोलोगे सार्थक, same role. Can you do the role play, please?
Yeah. But how can our problems be solved forever? Is it really possible?
Udian?
Yes, it is indeed possible. It is obvious that with the cycle of birth and death, a person experiences problems, but if this cycle ends, then the problems it has to this would also come to an end. If we are our own well wisher, then first all we need is to understand this cycle. Let's first know the reason, then only can we can find a solution.
Okay. Go ahead. Sarthak.
But I live my life as per my choice and I don't care for anyone else. So neither I have attachment with anyone nor I have aversion. So that means, am I going to get out of this life cycle?
No, it is not that easy. Let me tell you from the starting. Like when a person drinks alcohol, he loses his senses for a time being. Similarly, Acharya Maharaji states that since our infinite life, we are carrying a feeling of attachment, which is the reason we have forgotten our own real me. As a result, we start to believe that our mixed being is our real me.
Right. So it's all we all are always in a state of delusion, right? We are deluded. First and foremost, we are deluded by about who we are, right? We consider the mixed me, right? Our body as ourself, right? When in reality it is not ourselves, right? What is of us is just that soul, है ना? And it is why are we in this state of delusion? Because we have also, through multiple lives, attained so many bad karma that those karma have kept us in the delusion state, in the state of attachment and aversion, and obstructing us on attaining our pure form or real form. Okay. So now when we read the second stanza, which is focused upon reason for unhappiness of living beings, in the transmigratory cycle. Exactly what I was saying, right? For multiple, infinite number of lives in the past, what our soul has done is it has just um, stayed in the state of delusion that that soul is not a soul but rather a life form, whatever life form they were born in. And with that, they have been in that delusional state and in the process of acquiring more and more karma because of reactions to the situation. Okay, so this second stanza goes like this. ताहि सुनो भवी मन थीरान जो चाहो अपनो कल्याण मोह महामद पियो अनादि भूल आपको भरमतवादी. Now, what does it say? Those lessons, I'll directly switch to meaning because it keeps it together. O Bhavya Jeev. Now, here, uh, this is being addressed to us as in we all are Bhavya Jeev. Bhavya Jeev means a Jeev that is blessed with the power of cognition to differentiate between good and evil, and that way they have capability to attain moksha. We all, at least we humans, are Bhavya Jeevs. Every human who has some cognition of differentiating between good and bad is a Bhavya Jeev. O Bhavya Jeev, listen carefully. If you desire to attain your own spiritual welfare, then the Jeev or soul, having drunk the strong wine of delusion since ever, is wandering in world, forgetting its real nature or identity. Right? So you have to be cognizant, or you have to be mindful of the fact that you, O Jeev, O Bhavya Jeev, have been drinking this strong wine of delusion and have kept wandering into this lok in taking different life forms, one after the other, and you have completely forgotten your true identity. And what is your true identity? Your true identity is the identity of a Jeev. You are a Jeev. You are not even this life form, right? Because we all have been born as a human being in this life form. But next life form, guess what? Some of us will turn into Devgati Jeevs. Some of us may get a Narki Jeev life form. Some may become a Tiryanch, and so forth, right? Some may be born as humans in families where they have no awareness of Jainism and of this knowledge. Some may be born again in Jain families, but those family may not have time and resources to focus and dedicate on Jain learning and Swadhyay, right? So that keeps happening with us depending on the type of actions and choices we make in this life form. We accrue that type of karma, and that defines our upcoming life forms, and so forth. The cycle continues, right? And one of the reason why this cycle continues, that we have lack of awareness of our own identity. We are not this life form, we are this soul, the purest soul, है ना? And here again, they are doing the classification of jeeves that I just talked about, right? Those capable of attaining moksha and those incapable of attaining moksha. Okay, so one, we'll end with this contemplation. Okay, and I would like you to all contemplate. Chintan is nothing but contemplation, right? And as you go to sleep today, you should contemplate on this, right? Everybody in this world is looking for happiness, aren't we? Right? Our form of happiness, our manifestations of those happiness may be different, but majority of times our manifestations are indriya sukh, right? That word we just learned. We are never consciously focused upon, we I should not say consciously, but mindfully focused on atindriya sukh, right? Because we are surrounded by so many things materialistic that our happiness is also defined by them, right? So we keep, everybody in this world, in us included, is looking for happiness. But do we really find permanent happiness in this world, right? Will a iPhone 17 does an iPhone 17 has a capability to give you permanent happiness? What do you think, Sarthak? No, right? Because once you get it,
Yeah.
then a time will come, then they will come with the launch of the next product, iPhone 18, or an iPad with higher capabilities and whatnot, and you will again become restless, right? If you attain the highest marks in your exams, 8th, 9th grade, will that can that give you permanent happiness? No, right? Because next thing that will come to your mind is, how can I keep this status in my class? I'll have to put extra efforts to make this continue for continued success. So in a way, that happiness could potentially drive more restlessness. So that way it is not permanent, it's impermanent, right? And if you lose that status, then you will be in deep sorrow and shock, isn't it? Right? So that way we cannot call it permanent happiness. It is of transient nature, right? So I would like you to contemplate and write 5 points where you see that your happiness was not permanent, and submit these into the classroom. Can you all do that? Right? So do this contemplation today, right? Think of 5 things that you initially thought were could have been the source of permanent happiness, but in reality, you lost that happiness in some time, right? So that way it was not permanent, it was transient. Okay? This is the activity of contemplation, and let's end the class, Pathshala class today at this time. I think we covered the topic, and I also have to got to go to somewhere, right? So let's do our Sarvamangalya part. सर्वमङ्गल्यमाङ्गल्यं सर्वकल्याणकारणं प्रधानं सर्वधर्मानं जैनं जयतु शासनं जावाणी के ज्ञान से सूझे लोकालोक तेवाणी मस्तक धरूं देहूं सदा धोक हे जिनवाणी भारती माँ तो है जपो दिन रैन जो तेरी शरणा गए माँ सो पावे सुख चैन. उत्तम क्षमा बच्चों, if I have unknowingly or knowingly caused any pain to you or roughed you up in the process of explaining this concept, please forgive me for that act. Jai Jinendra. Jai Jinendra बच्चों.
जय
जय
जिनेन्द्र.
जिनेन्द्र.
Jai Jinendra.